because maybe you haven't really experienced full pleasure during sex or the pleasure that you're capable of, and you don't even know it because you're always so goal oriented that you're never fully in the moment. Welcome to What I Love About Sex, where some incredible guests and I, Steph Kanowski, will be bringing you the tools for improving your sex life with topics such as sex issues with your partner, sexual self-confidence, premature ejaculation, sexual shame, masturbation, sharing your fetishes, orgasmic pleasure, and more. Sex is still so taboo, and I personally believe that by improving our understanding and communication skills around sex, we can enhance our own self-pleasure as well as deepening our long-term romantic relationships. So listen in, try to stay open-minded, and let's get started. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode on the What I Love About Sex podcast. Today's episode is going to be a little different than the others, but before I dive into it, I want to remind, whoa, it's a little early over here, okay? I can't talk yet. I didn't finish my coffee, so that's what happens. I want to remind you that this month's upcoming masterclass is on delayed ejaculation. So if you're ready to attend the live masterclass to understand what you can do to come sooner during sex and to be able to let go and understand why it is maybe you're holding in a lot of tension and not able to release and have an orgasm, and you're trying so hard and it's just not happening, and you're trying to push your arousal and she's feeling like she's not good enough, and it's creating that feedback of you getting panicked. All that stuff. We're going to be discussing that. I'm going to be helping you through that and ways to overcome it. So definitely check out the link in the description of this podcast so that you can register as soon as possible, because you can still save a few bucks if you use the code November. So you'll go to the link below in the description, use the code November, and that way you get the pre-sale rate from between now and Monday is when that ends. So register for that. Can't wait to see you. Can't wait to help you guys, because I know there's a lot of you following me with delayed ejaculation and you're like, wow, I never see people talk about it, because it's not that common, but it's common enough where there's enough of you struggling with it that need help. So looking forward to seeing you at the masterclass. All right. So today's episode is going to be it's going to be helping you guys, especially with delayed ejaculation, but any of you who feel like you can't be in the moment and present during sex, when you lose track of your body because you're stuck in your head and you have these certain goals during sex that you want to reach, men are often very goal-oriented during sex, and it's like about making her have the most pleasure, and that's like the one thing on their mind, and sometimes they forget to be in their body and to actually experience pleasure and know what pleasure really feels like, because maybe you haven't really experienced full pleasure during sex or the pleasure that you're capable of, and you don't even know it because you're always so goal-oriented that you're never fully in the moment. And I hope that this exercise helps you to be more in the moment and more body aware the next time you're having a sexual experience, so that you can tap more into your body and the physical sensations and the pleasure and focus a little more on the pleasure than you are her reaction or her thinking you're the best lover. Okay, so this is somewhat of, you can use this as a meditation, or you can just use this in the background while you're cooking and doing whatever. And it's just to make you more aware of your five senses and how they relate to your sex life now. And we're going to share some appreciation for them so that next time you're having sex, you're more aware of these things. And you might even be having sex and be like, oh, Steph's podcast. I remember that. Oh, this actually feels better. This is making me feel. All right, let's just get into it. So I want to start with sight. Okay. And I want you to first of all feel gratitude if you can see. If you have eyes and you can see, what do you appreciate seeing when you're having sex? When you're in a sexual experience? What is the best sight for you? This could be something that really turns you on. This could be something you enjoy just gazing at, looking at. Maybe it's looking at her up and down while she's on top of you. Maybe it's you looking at your own dick getting hard during solo sex. And it's that excitement of like, okay, things are working well. And you're seeing that, and it feels good to see that and look at it. Maybe it's noticing her head go back when she's having an orgasm and her mouth opens and you're seeing that visual. Maybe it's her tits. I say breasts, I say boobs, I say tits. Maybe it's her stomach. Maybe it's the curves, her curves along her body. Maybe when you're doing her doggy and just feeling her feminine curves, like seeing those curves and appreciating that visual. Notice all the visuals that you take in one sexual experience. Right? Like looking at her pussy up close, turning her around, looking at her butt that really turns you on, looking at the two of you together, maybe in a mirror. Think about all the sights, all the visual elements of a sexual experience that you're having with your partner or with yourself. All the things you see that you really appreciate, that maybe you take for granted. Because do you really appreciate it in the moment? And really take it all in? All right, let's go to the next one. What do you hear that you appreciate during a sexual experience? Maybe you hear deep breaths. You're both breathing deeply. Maybe you hear her moaning because it feels so good and she's getting closer to orgasm. Maybe you hear yourself release this masculine grunt that just naturally comes from you in the heat of the moment. And it just makes you feel like alpha and in control. Maybe you hear the little spank you give her, or the big spank. Maybe you hear the wetness of her mouth as she's going down on you. Maybe you hear laughter and you guys are just having fun with it. Maybe the dog jumps on the bed and you start yelling at him and pushing him off. Right? Maybe you hear dirty talk together. Maybe you're in a role play and she says something out of the blue to kind of fit with that role play. think about all the noise. The moaning, the scratching, the breathing. Maybe spitting. So many good noises. So many pleasure noises. Right? How often do you really pay attention to all those noises? Think if you were going to have sex and only pay attention to the noises, think of how much that would keep you in the moment. It could. And I want you to think about that. Like as we go through the 5 senses, think about which sense makes you most in the moment during sex. I think we all have one. And that actually just came to my mind, so I have to think about what mine is too. But they all help. All right, let's go to the next one. Feel. So, what do you touch? What do you feel during sex? Maybe you feel yourself getting harder when she does something specific. You feel yourself inside of her. You feel her soft, feminine body, her soft skin, her curves. You feel her wet mouth. Maybe you're making out and you're touching her face, bringing her really close to you. And you're feeling that closeness, skin to skin, body against body, that intimacy, that feeling of we're together right now. We're doing this together right now. The feeling of her tickling you or scratching you, biting you, licking you, sucking you, on top, fucking you. Think of all the feels. Think of how, now that you're thinking of all the feels, like think of how little you pay attention to the feels maybe in the moment. Like, of course you do to a certain extent, right? But just magnifying it right now probably makes you feel like you take it for granted a little bit, right? Because just think about so many feels. So many things to pay attention to that you can zoom in on that feeling and really appreciate it and really get turned on by it. Simply feeling each other's arms, stroking, lightly, gently, just up and down, kind of like a tickle up and down on the arm. I had a partner do that to me. Or whenever a partner does do that to me, it feels so nice, and it's not necessarily this sexual thing, but it brings me so much pleasure that it starts building arousal. So think of all the little things that feel really good, that over time just turn you on more and more because they just feel so nice. They're not even crazy sexual, they just feel really nice. Think of feeling the feel of your orgasm, or feeling her orgasm while you're inside of her. That intensity, right? Like feeling the tension and feeling the release so close together. Such a cool feeling. Okay, let's go to taste. What do you taste during sex? Think of the tastes. Tasting her pussy. how she tastes as a woman. Maybe you like tasting your own cum. You cum in her mouth and then she pours it into your mouth. And that taste turns you on. Maybe it's the taste of a food you guys are experimenting with during some sexy play. Maybe it's the taste of a certain lube you're using. I used to have a chocolate lube and it tasted so good. Right? Massage oil that is edible and tastes good. But simply just the taste of the person you're with, the taste of their mouth, kissing them. Maybe they have a taste. Maybe you just chewed gum and there's a minty taste, or you just brushed your teeth and went to bed. There's that freshness taste. Maybe she's on her period and you're tasting that. Maybe you're experimenting with other body fluids. Think of all the tastes. Think of what you do to try to taste different parts of her body. Do you lick a lot? How much are you using your taste? And think about how you can enhance your pleasure by opening the door a little more of one of these, to one of these senses. Because you might be like, well, Steph, I feel like I never experiment with taste and we don't even really kiss much. I encourage you to take one tiny step towards one of these 5 senses that maybe you're not using so much, not taking advantage of, to enhance your pleasure and your partner's pleasure. Maybe you're tasting her cum. Okay, let's go to smell. Last one. What do you smell during sex? Sex definitely has a smell. If you fuck for a long time, it's like you leave the room and come back and you're just like, it smells like sex. It smells like someone got fucked in here. Right? Maybe you smell her. Maybe she has a smell. Vaginal smell. I know sometimes this can be a huge turn on. Certain smells are sweet. Certain smells are more pungent. Certain smells maybe pull you out of the moment. But what smells pull you in? The smell of her hair, the smell of her perfume. I know I always notice my partner's cologne, and that smell is just like, so good. The smell of sweat during sex. It's not necessarily like BO bad. Sometimes it is, right? We also smell that. Just that smell of two bodies working to build pleasure for each other. Maybe it's the smell of a sex toy you're using, which hopefully doesn't smell too strong. If you're using rubber, always be careful. But maybe Maybe like you put a certain lube on the toy and that has a smell. I have a coconut lube, so that definitely makes the room smell like coconut. Maybe you have a candle lit and you're taking in the smells of the candle. Right? Think of how little we pay attention to smell during sex. Right? Because now that I'm saying this, I hardly ever pay like actual conscious attention to smell. But for some of us, and for maybe even me, it can really enhance the experience and put me more in the moment, put you more in the moment. And what's great about using smell as a way to keep you more present is that it also reminds you to breathe. Maybe breathe more deeply, which is what we always want to do during sex, to stay relaxed, and also to have the best orgasms. Smell. Okay, good. So I hope this helped you to just be more aware of what you can use to access higher levels of pleasure, or just pleasure to begin with during a sexual experience. I think it would be cool to tell your partner to focus on one sense and then you focus on another sense, or you both focus on the same sense. I think that would be really interesting to play around with and see what you noticed afterwards that maybe you never really noticed before, never paid too much attention to. So I think this is especially important, as I said in the beginning, for you guys who feel like you're very much in your head and less in your body. And I will be sharing specific tactics similar to this one for you guys who are experiencing delayed ejaculation. Because for you guys, psychologically, it's a matter of being able to feel more comfortable with your desires and your expression and your turn-ons. And this is one exercise that can definitely help you. But I'm going to be giving more exercises specific to DE in the masterclass. So don't forget to register. Also, don't forget to use the code November if you're listening to this before Monday, which would be October 17th. That's the pre-sale rate. It will still be on sale after that. You just won't get the pre-sale after Monday. And yeah, that's it, guys. Have an amazing morning, evening, or night, wherever you are in the world. And I'll talk to you soon. I hope this episode helped you. If it did, I would love for you to leave me an iTunes review. It would mean the world to me. You can also screenshot your favorite episodes and tag me on Instagram @StephGanowski. And before I go, remember, your sex life is as good as you make it out to be. Until next time.